Yeah, you got all the time you need.
It's not even about that.
He's looking short
Here with the good looking.
I like him right now. A rose between, eh?
Oh, man. Tony, what do you think about Baker, man? He's got to turn it around.
Sure.
Someone brought it up, and now I'm angry.
All right, call meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join Commissioner Kirchner as we pray.
Okay, let us put ourselves in a prayerful mood here. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today, helping us make the decisions that are in the best interest of those we represent and are your will. We ask in a special way that you protect those who are fighting for our freedoms and their families, and we thank you for a beautiful, crisp fall day. All this through your Son. Amen.
Roll call.
Commissioner Purvis,
Here.
Commissioner Kirchner,
Here.
Commissioner Davidson,
Here. I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous board session from Thursday, October 3rd.
So moved.
I will second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Davidson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner,
Yes.
Commissioner Purvis.
Yes. Okay, any adjustments today? Any guests? Any guests? All right. Administrator's report.
Just have a few things. Gonna go back to the schedule again, just for a few items. October 24th, Charlene had asked if we could start our session at 9:30 for RLF and Associates to come in and give us an update on the bus. Is it the bus transit plan? So if you don't mind, could we meet
9:30?
start at 9:30 that day. I also had cooperative development agreements. The prosecutors asked us, the city of Tiffin and us, and I think Hopewell Township is trying to coordinate a meeting. They're looking at November 20th at 4 or 7 and December 4th at 4. And/or, because we don't know if it's going to be both or just one. The email to me was and/or. So,
December 4th works better for me, but
okay.
that's,
Does 4 or 7 matter?
no, the time doesn't matter, but December 4th works better.
Okay.
Yep.
Either,
Well, I don't know, I think that, they're talking about annexation, of course, and I
Right.
think that the concern was that they wanted to set up 2 dates because they thought maybe there would need to be a follow-up, but I don't know that's for sure.
okay,
Yeah, I didn't think.
But December 4th works for me as well.
okay. And we just got notification of CCAO Winter Conference. Usually that always fell on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we would have to kind of reschedule Tuesday's meetings. Well, we went to Thursday this year, and guess what? CCAO has changed the winter conference. Now it's the 4th, 5th, and 6th
Oh,
of December. So Thursday would be our board meeting. We usually like to try to go to winter conference,
yeah.
so
Thursday, what day is Thursday that week?
the 5th. So they're having conference the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
That's
So,
start in the morning, probably.
It's 3-day event.
so we
Winter
could
conference.
change our meeting to the 2nd that week to
Tuesday.
accommodate those that want to
Tuesday,
go?
or
I see.
Monday, Tuesday.
Tuesday's the 3rd,
Yeah.
okay?
I'm okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I sent you guys an email, but I wanted to make sure, brought it up, Soil and Water. Went out to see Beth, at Soil and Water, and she had asked about the old space that SCAT was in, up on the, is it the 2nd floor? At the Ag Building. They're interested in, they've gotten some new employees, they want to use that space. They said they would have, their employees take the stuff that's in there and get it out of there, because it was just leftover furniture from SCAT. They want to know if they could use that space for storage, for a meeting room, for I think they want to put a break room table or something in there, but they would paint it and they would take care of it if you guys were okay with that.
Sounds good.
Good news is fiber is,
The only question I have is, do we do any allocation there as
Yes.
far as rents go?
yes,
So would that add to that square footage?
the cost allocation would change, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Fiber is, we're on fiber. The majority of departments no longer have to do the VPN to get
Nice.
into the VIP, so when you guys do
I don't
VIP
know
today, you won't have to do the VPN, so we're all on the network, we're all on the fiber, and
Everybody's flipped,
everybody's flipped, so,
upgraded phone systems?
not yet,
Okay,
not yet, nope. So phones will slowly come on board.
okay.
But we did have law library and regional planning that was on our network for their phones that went down, and we kind of forgot about them. So they were down for a day. That was our bad. So it wasn't their fault. It was ours. So we're excited. Hopefully it'll work out. And that was one of the goals, is to get to the fiber to eliminate the networking being some of the problems we have with the connection.
And it's a dark fiber, so
Right.
we have fewer points of intrusion,
Yep.
potentially.
Yeah. I think that's all I had.
Good. Commissioner reports, Tony?
Really don't have anything specific other than yesterday, Shane and I were out at Seneca East High School, and Supreme Court Justice Sharon Sue Kennedy was here. I called her Sue, thank you. She insisted on that. Was very impressed with her, very impressed with Seneca East and the school. She spent time in various classrooms. Eli Heel was our host. Good kid. It's nice to see young students involved in the process. And I thought it was a very good meeting, actually. Very good representation out there. So wanted to congratulate Seneca East for doing a great job hosting.
Good, good.
As she said, she is the conservative judge with the liberal sounding name.
Yeah.
All right. Mike, you have anything?
Well, I will defer to our friends from Downtown Committee and from the Rural Committee to talk maybe a little bit about the ongoing saga of Christmas lights. And I think that, I actually have a bit of a PowerPoint.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at this, Mike. I knew if we just took away those whiteboards.
You guys. Come on.
You're up.
I didn't know I was doing anything, so this is. Okay, yeah, so basically we've just been working with Mike to get this done, and this is kind of where we're at. We worked together to select some items, found a company that we can get them shipped from, have all the costs, including the shipping and all of that, so we've been just working really hard on the funding piece. Mike has done a lot of work too, so we'll show some of the items that we picked.
So at this point, the tree that is in front of the Justice Center is going to be the tree that gets lit that we do the community tree lighting at this year. Now that we're able to get back over there, the tree over at Leadership Park is still very, very small, and we have the nice 18-foot tree in front of the Justice Center, so we will be lighting that tree. So garland, lights, and tree topper all needed to be purchased for the tree so that we could make a nice presentation to the community with the tree lighting. So simple garland, Christmas lights, as well as a tree topper have all been chosen. We're kind of going with a little bit of a snowflake theme because eventually we're hoping that we'll be able to take that through the downtown. And then with that, a couple of other items we looked at. So potentially, if the funds are there, for photo opportunities for a nice walkthrough ornament, just a place to kind of draw people in and take photos in the area. And then finally, some garlands. We were looking at the 3 large windows on the tower in the middle of the Justice Center, so putting a garland at each window in that area. So we were trying to keep it relatively simple. The overall project cost is just over $19,000, so we are currently working on trying to get the funds that we need just to get the simple things done this year. We're not going
crazy with a $350,000 lighting project. We just want to do some simple things to help enhance downtown at the holidays. But again, the tree is our big focus, being as that is the focus for the tree lighting this year. So that is where we are.
Yeah, we're working with private corporate sponsorship, local foundations, everywhere we kind of can. If anyone wants to contribute. Yeah, anything else you want us to cover, Mike?
Well, I think that it's worth noting at this point in time that we tentatively have about $14,000, possibly up to $16,000. And I just would like to give my personal thanks to folks. I'm going to miss somebody I know, but Lenny Klaus is one of the first ones that stepped up. Sutton Bank, First National Bank of Sycamore. We've talked to.
The list is on
The
there.
list is here? Okay, this is
the-
for the letter,
Preferred
yeah.
ones.
We have talked to Laminate Technologies, PT Services. The judges have stepped up to give us a significant amount from the Furtherance of Justice funds. So all these, some of these things are pending, but most of them are pretty short. So, and we, the gentlemen with me here have been generous that we will put together $500 personally between ourselves to also contribute. So we think it's important enough that, we'll have some skin in the game ourselves. We have lit in the years past a little Charlie Brown tree. I don't think anybody even notices that it's lit. Well, we've always had a ceremony, God bless everybody for being there to do it. But this is back to the traditional tree on the courthouse lawn. This is kind of a, a starter kit, if you will, so we hope to be a little more, have a little more coverage in 2020. But for now, let's celebrate Christmas like we should and get a few lights up.
And it's early, yes, to be talking about Christmas, but in order to get the order in, we're on a time frame to make sure that we can get it here by Christmas. So
Well, yeah, so I'll have them ordered very, very soon to have them here by Thanksgiving so that they can be up for the tree lighting in the holiday season.
and again, if anyone you know or yourselves would like to participate in this, please let us know.
There actually will be a lighting ceremony on December 6th. Is that
It's
right?
Friday evening at 5:45.
Is
So
it the
it's,
6th?
is it the 6th? Is Friday the
think
6th?
it's
It's either the 5th or
We
6th,
can
whatever the
check.
Friday is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Is this reusable? I mean, you can use it
Yep.
for several, okay,
Yep.
just wondered. Thank
Yep.
you, that's good to know.
Thank you, ladies. They've done a lot of work, and I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good job. We started out at 200, we're down to 20, so.
Good negotiations.
Yeah. I think that's what I have. Here's the letter. You want to make a copy of those too?
I kind of feel like January after following Christmas. The only thing I had was the facade at the prosecutor's office. The paint's peeling. It's looking pretty rough, and I think we're talking $5,000 to $10,000 to clean that and repaint it. And I just wanted to get a sense where you guys were at on what that expense
I
comes
think
forward.
John had a kind of a big range, just plain power washing and painting, what, at about 5, but he wanted to do, I think he wanted to do some chemical.
I got the quote out there, I think it was 3,500 actually.
Okay. Well, he had another one for like 25,000 for that
Yeah, he
chemical.
said something about,
Yeah, so I know John would hesitate to spend that kind of money unless he had some kind of direction from us, so I just wanted to make sure. I mean, it's bad, it looks bad.
So I think we should fix it. Where are you
Okay. I
asking?
just wanted to get a sense that you guys are
Proceed
okay,
with,
yeah, right,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
Is
kind
it
of a-
25,000 or is it 5,000?
Probably somewhere between 5 and 10
Okay.
to clean it and paint it.
That was a
Yeah.
couple
It
of year
needs
old
it.
quote, I think, so. Okay.
We got a lot of good response when we finally cleaned the arcade,
Yeah.
so.
No, we got it.
You okay, Mike?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
let's do it.
All right, that's all I had. Let's see, Commissioner's report, old business. We have, I think it was a month ago, when you first came on, Mike had made mention about doing a letter of support for what was happening in the State House, and I think, Nikki, do you have that put up? So we can read off of that.
you sent me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
that's the sweater.
Yeah.
You make it any bigger?
Maybe we should just put the logo up, Tony, right?
Right there, for sure.
Just let it be known, my
Jimmy.
PowerPoint was much clearer.
Well,
Yeah.
It would look nice, I think.
Is that
you
good?
can handle that, right?
If you don't have big enough
Probably.
TVs.
So anyways,
You want a whiteboard?
That wasn't bad right there. That's about as good as you're gonna get.
so, Rep. Reineke has been working on some issues of local control, so we wanted to put something together. And so a month, 6 weeks ago, whenever we, Mike made mention of sending something down in support of that. They're just back in session now, so it's, a good time to wind this up. So what I put together a first draft, and, we can discuss it further here, we can adopt it. But in Seneca County, we had significant public discourse around the development of wind resources and utility scale wind farms. We have incredibly engaged citizens and public officials. If wind moves forward in Ohio, then we feel duty bound to offer our recommendations for improving that process with which wind is developed. And we are kind of the epicenter right now in this discussion, so I do feel like we have an obligation to offer our insights. On local control, when originally conceived, the alternative energy zone was intended as a de facto local control. In 2011, the then commissioners, with the support of local landowners, passed the AAZ in Seneca County. In 2019, this board sunset the AAZ. As the technology has changed, there have been significant cost reductions in the development projects. Given the dynamic nature of the industry and the current regulations have not kept pace with these changes. And what we're seeing is the evidence suggests that the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes, is no longer the incentive or the control that it was once. So projects continue to develop here in Seneca County without an AAZ, and in Huron County where there was never an AAZ. So that leads me to believe that the AAZ is not local control. It is therefore our recommendation that an effort be undertaken at the State House to give local control back. Also, Tony, before you got here, there was a lot of conversation about the pilot and what that meant as far as it, if we were subsidizing the project, if there was a cost reduction in the taxes. Several people tried to take a stab at doing the math to see, what we were giving up in a net present value standpoint. We finally asked TCEP to take a look at it, and quite frankly, the information wasn't available for us to accurately evaluate that. But, as a general, generally, we feel like that, we shouldn't be asked to subsidize them locally, but we need the information in order to make that determination. So, at least in the Apex project, they filed their costs, under the veil of secrecy of trade secrets, so we won't have what the capital cost is at this point. So, I think that's an important ask from us, that there be transparency there. So I ask that any pilot request should be accompanied by, some kind of certified net present value calculation that keeps us whole. And then local notification. This is something we talked about a little bit. Matt Dolan was down and wanted to talk to us, and it was an idea that I raised then, as a year ago or so. Is one of the concerns early was that folks felt like they were ambushed about the wind projects coming. And, I looked back at our meeting notes, and in 2011, we had 4, 5, 6 meetings about the AAZ and projects, and it was continually talked about for years. But it didn't register with people that were coming in their neighborhood, in their backyards. So, I think if we had an early warn letter where people were notified that wind companies would be signing up leases, then they would be forewarned and therefore forearmed. And so I think an early warning letter would be a good step. So I've got down earlier notification, clarity on taxes, and stronger local control would be a very valuable first step in developing a more balanced relationship between property owners, citizens, communities, elected officials, and balloon developers. So that's, where I'm at. There are specifics with the Reineke referendum that, I think are good, but, I think it should be general enough to say, look, we realize the AEZ is not local control, and, there should be some steps to remedy that, so.
So should I follow up with this Ohio Development Services Agency letter?
Yeah, that's coming up in new business, but
Okay, any
go ahead.
comments on your letter?
Yeah, so, first of all, let's talk about
Let's-
present value calculations, so that I think everybody understands where we're coming from with that. And it simply simply put, the larger wind projects will tell you that the dollar amount that we're gonna receive is the same under being fully taxed or with the pilot program. And again, that is true, but it's not the whole truth. So what I'm saying by that is if they have the first year due to us I'm making these numbers up, $4 million, and the pilot allows them to pay $2 million, allows them to pay a lesser amount and then a larger amount at the end. The question is, net present value, is it better for us to have that full tax money up front, if we control it, or is it better for them to pay a little bit up front and then continue to pay similar amounts into the future? So the point is that the net number at the end of 30 years is similar, but they've kept their money in the beginning and they can invest it wherever they want, as opposed to us having the full amount in the beginning and then have that slowly fall off. So that's kind of a net present value conversation. So are we ready for me now with this?
Sure.
Okay, so what we've got here then is a letter we had not notified the Ohio Department of Services Agency, who is the person who grants, or the bureaucracy that grants the pilot program. So what we're saying to them, on March 28th, 2019, the Board of Commissioners passed a resolution, and we detail it and attach it. In this resolution, it says at that time, the Alternative Energy Zone will rescind new applications, thus sunsetting the AEZ program in Seneca County. Although the Seneca Wind and Republic Wind projects are accepted under the 2011 AEZ agreement, if they must resubmit their application, they would no longer be grandfathered under the agreement. Here's the point of contention. These folks are saying that the S-Power still is under the pilot. We're saying, no, it's not, because we passed a resolution that said we've rescinded it, and therefore they are no longer under it if they have to reapply, and they are going to reapply. It is our understanding that with this resolution in place, S-Power would not be grandfathered under the agreement for the Bloom project. Also be advised that we are in unanimous support of a pending bill from William F. Reineke endorsing the referendum vote for alternative energy projects. With this letter, we have submitted a copy of our resolution. This resolution also has been submitted to all other departments. So that is a letter that we want to send certified to Ohio Development Services agencies today.
Are your comments, is this a separate letter?
Yeah, it's two different.
Yeah. And
Yeah, we would like to send this to the State House.
this goes to the state
Yeah.
to be part of the discussion
That's
in
right.
the referendum.
Yeah, this is to a
Yeah.
specific agency,
And that
Tony,
goes to
that
the
has
agency
to
to clarify
say they
our
have not been
position.
notified. They're the
Right.
ones that are telling
I think
S-Power, I
we're both good.
believe, that they're still, that the pilot is still in effect. From a legal standpoint, our counsel seems to think that we're right, but I don't know that for sure, so we want to make sure that we notify.
Got it. Yeah, and this will become part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm good with both of them.
So we can put this as part of new business when.
You just sign it.
Question?
We've got some discussion from, you guys all right if we take some
Yeah,
discussion
yeah,
here?
Yes, Jim Fiesel, Eden Township.
It seems like the two letters there, I know Mike makes reference of the support for the Reinke referendum, but sending that to the development director, it's fine to send it there, but that person really has no input there. That message should go strongly worded to the State House with your other letter. That has to be part of that letter.
Okay, well, we can, copy this and send it to for whatever reason, at this point, not for whatever reason, the USDA, or the Ohio Development Service Agency is the one that determines the pilot.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they're on notice from us, but we'll send it to Jim, to any other agencies that, to the PUCO or to the.
Right, but the letter that's going to the State House has to include the support from this county for the for a local referendum on wind projects. It just has to, otherwise it's not landing in the right spot.
Yeah, we think this letter, I mean, we don't know what's gonna come out of the legislative process, but this letter puts us into the conversation.
So,
Personally, don't think it's strongly worded enough for the resolutions you have passed to work with these projects. The ultimate goal here is to get a vote for the people in this county. All the opposition to the wind projects, if the vote ever gets to us, the opposition, and the people pass and say we're fine with it, opposition will drop away, 90% of it. So that's our ultimate goal, not to stop wind projects, it's to have a say for the people in this community. A direct say with the vote, because if you have a vote, the wind companies will have to work with you. Then they'll be motivated to work with you, because you have the ultimate control. Right now, without that, they're not motivated at all. So the voice of the people gets lost. We have places to go make noise, but it really has no meat to it.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying here, is that local control has been lost.
So you would agree to putting that in your letter then?
Well, I like the way it's drafted, and you and I have had this conversation about keeping it general, because we don't know what the legislative process might bear out.
So you would support something other than a vote?
What's that?
You would support something softer than a vote of the people?
Well, I think, Jim, I think maybe the solution is, because I'm okay with Shane's letter, I think a solution might be to attach our letter to the development department to this, and say, we have been in contact with this bureaucracy who handles the pilot approval, just for your knowledge. Here's what we said. So they're getting, kind of an overview, plus they're getting a specific letter stating that we are unanimously opposed to the pilot being granted to S-Power at this point.
is that what you're saying? In a way, we attach that?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that wording, support of based on resolutions that you have passed as a board, to work with the people against these wind projects, or at least, it doesn't have to be against, it's just to get us a voice with a vote. That's a real voice. Nothing else that you can talk about is a real voice. We're talking changing the zoning on 200 square miles of land, most of it in Seneca County. You just don't, to heavy industry, you just don't do that kind of thing without a referendum. That process should have never gotten, for wind projects, should never have gotten into the Power Siting Board. They override local zoning on small projects, like less than 1 square mile maybe, like a gas plant or something. When wind projects came along, they got dumped into the same process, and they don't belong there. They don't belong there. They affect way too many people. A 1 mile square project might affect 100 people. These are going to affect tens of thousands of people. You don't change zoning on that big of a thing without local input, a vote. And that's what this county needs to support, and it needs to support it strongly in every letter that goes to the state.
Okay, I think we're just trying to drill down here, and to tell them that we support the pending legislation from Bill Reineke. This position paper, says that we are opposed to wind development without a local voice. Attached to that will be a letter that says we are in support of the Reineke referendum. I really think that sends the message we need to send at this point, Jim. I get your concern that
It just could be,
most documents
it could be a
all
little
say the same
stronger
thing,
message.
but I don't think that there's any ambiguity about where we're at when we send this specific letter to the Development Department, and this is our stance with this letter attached to it. So that's...
Okay, yeah, one more.
Gail Moyer, Bloom Township.
Gail.
Can you explain to me how the wording that you have at the beginning about letting people know when the wind companies are starting to seek leases has any merit at all? Those leases were, some of them are 10 years old. How in this area, and I know in some of the other areas where the wind farms, the lease is already done. That's a moot point. How does that change anything for our local notification?
Yeah,
And once again, you say early notification.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they closed, and then I get a letter last Friday that says, oh, excuse me, we changed our mind. We've recertified, and we have, whoop, like, this window again.
Yeah, we don't get to turn back
So explain to me
town.
how those
Time,
two,
yeah.
how that is even saying anything at all about it being something that can be done. That's not a viable, let us know when they're doing leases, that's not a viable thing to change, well, when we find out anything, because it's too late, way too late now to say
Yeah, we
they
don't
should
get to
have
turn
let
back
us
time,
know.
that's right, that's right.
So
I mean, we can't go back in
what
time.
we
but-
need to have in that letter, again, is what will make a difference in where we are at, which is local vote. You don't have to put Reineke referendum if you don't want to put Reineke referendum. We need a local vote on the zoning in our county. Pilot didn't do it, it wasn't a local vote. It
This,
didn't
I think
even-
this is speaking to some concerns that folks had early on, that there was no notification, and then all of a sudden, meetings were scheduled without knowledge of the leases being
But
signed.
it's gonna constantly be that way because that's the way the Ohio Power Siting Board has it changed, has it set up. And unless they change the law, it's not gonna change anything.
I think that the term used earlier today, forewarned is forearmed, applies here. Because if there were people out getting leases signed in Attica or in Bloomville or wherever today for a new project, at least that would be an early warning sign to say, look, there's another project that may be pending here and we need to be made aware of that.
They've gotten all the leases they need for 5 projects. Thank you.
Dr. West?
Zach West, Pleasant Township. I'm going to reiterate, and I agree with Fiesel. I think it's a great idea to include the copy of the one letter going to one service organization and then a copy and attaching it to the copy going to the State House. But in the event that ever should those letters part and become separated, I think it's important, again, to include that local you've already had said that you're supporting a referendum language, i.e. to the letter that's going to the bureaucracy agency. So there's no harm in adding that same language into the letter coming from this body going to the State House in the event that those two letters should ever be separated in the process.
I think it's a point well taken. I don't have any problem with our position letter stating, please also reference a letter to USDA dated today, attached to this correspondence. And then it can never be separated because they would have to refer to that if they use that position paper. And Mr. Thomas, I don't suppose you have any objection to that.
Yeah, I think, Jim, and what, I agree up here, and I think what we're saying here is the pending bill from Bill Reineke endorsing the referendum vote. We're just not getting into the weeds of the language that's in that referendum. But we understand that referendum is about a local vote. And Bill's stressed that, and so if Bill would request a letter from us being more specific, I would entertain that. But I think this accomplishes two things. It lets the state know that it's our position in Seneca County that our AEZ has gone away. Okay, that we're not under the pilot. I think S Power they still think that the pilot exists, so we're taking action to get that all verified and confirmed, A. B, I think what Shane puts together does talk about, it's a little broader than you would like, but I think it definitely gets our point across that we're opposed to this type of tax. I see where you're going, and I'm not sure it it could fit here, but I don't think we want to put it in here today, but I would entertain something like that at a later date, once we get a little more information back from Bill.
Yeah, it's kind, it's kind
I
of
would
like
be glad
changing,
to do that.
it's kind of like changing tires on a moving car here. We have got the referendum language from Bill, but it's not finalized yet. So we can't support something that doesn't have, that's not in its final version, okay? So we will have that final version. In fact, I've got a latest copy that he's gonna email me this morning. We'll have that in here for reference. But right now, we don't know what we're supporting because there is no final form of the bill.
Well, did I just hear you say you were going to permanently attach the 2 letters?
Yes,
Okay, so if you do that, it's in Shane's letter.
okay. Yeah, and there will be a formal endorsement, Jim.
Yeah, that's, okay,
When
we
the-
just, we're off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike, but we're not on the same, we weren't talking the same language, but our intent was there, what you and I were thinking.
Yeah, if you attach the 2 permanently, so they can't be separated.
Okay.
It's effectively in the letter.
Yeah, we will cross-reference both.
All right, any further discussion?
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to accept these letters.
I will so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes. All right. All right, so do we need action on board session 24th? You did that?
Yep.
And then we have an appointment for Sandusky Seneca City of Tiffin Port Authority.
Nikki?
Basically, they have a gentleman that's on there now that has resigned from the board,
Okay.
so they're replacing him. Somebody wanted the unexpired term, this Tim Bell,
Okay.
from M&B Asphalt. He wants to do the unexpired term, which ends in March, and then do an additional 4-year term. So that's what the resolution is for.
So moved?
I will second one piece of discussion. I
Discussion.
assume that the board of, the Port Authority is in agreement with this, they want this to happen?
Yeah, they're who asked us to put him on there.
Okay, very good.
All right. Roll call?
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes. All right. Budget adjustments.
Okay, I have a couple here. I have a supplemental appropriation for the Hammer Heinsman Sewer District, putting $656.20 into their contract services. Needs to finish out the year for their contract services. I have a supplemental appropriation from the Sheriff's Office into their Ohio Peace Officer Training Fund, putting $1,000 into training. I have this one. Payroll's starting to pop up on my workflow, so I gotta skip through this. I have a supplemental appropriation for the maintenance and repair fund, their equipment line, for 2 new tractors for $46,712. And then I have a supplemental appropriation for the transfers outline, $4,931.82 for the County Road 103561 resurfacing fund. The project came in at less cost, so they're gonna end up transferring that back out to their maintenance repair fund, so they need to set that to put it in place. So then I have a resolution authorizing the fund transfer be made to the maintenance and repair fund for that $4,931.82. I have a resolution authorizing the memorandum of agreement for deposit of public funds with Sutton Bank on behalf of the Seneca County Treasurer. I think this is a,
Do we bid those funds? I remember back in the day, we would come in and make a presentation for funds. Do we do that anymore? or
5 years.
5 years?
Is that part of our investment committee?
That's
This is
the
up to
treasurer,
treasurer's.
yeah.
Every 5 years we do that?
Yes.
And why don't we do for that again?
That's for the 16th day of October, so apparently we have to have this signed by the 16th is the date on the application for deposit.
Isn't this board typically made aware of those bids for deposit account?
I don't know, going to my first investment meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember when we were attempting to gather some funds from the county, we had to come to the commissioners meeting and make a presentation.
Yeah.
Usually this is just presented by the treasurer,
Okay,
but, I mean, we can ask, it is due by the 16th, so I'm sure he wants it signed.
It's a portion of funds.
I got no problems if he went through the process and went through bids, et cetera. And I'm a big guy on having local banks get as much as possible, but Ed Sutton certainly qualifies for that. Is that the main deposit account with Sutton then, or?
Sutton Bank. I'd have to ask.
Just came from the treasurer.
Treasurer, yep, he called Nikki at the last minute yesterday and asked if this to be put on the agenda, so.
I don't have any objection to it, I
Well,
just
I
don't
think
know
we
the
can-
procedure.
Let's do the 17th,
16th.
16th.
15th or 16th, because he gave it to me last week. I had to get it to the prosecutor's office, and they just got it back yesterday, so.
Okay, so the prosecutor approved it?
Yep.
Well, I guess we can approve it and subject to getting your clarifications.
Okay,
And
that's
if we
fine.
don't have clarifications that you're satisfied with, we'll
Oh, that's fine with me.
pull it back off.
Yeah, I have interest, obviously, too.
It sounds like you went through diligence and all that stuff, and that's fine, but I just didn't know what the procedure was, because I know it used to be different. Or maybe at the discretion of the treasurer, they brought it in.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And I think,
Is that a separate resolution then?
It's all part of it.
Will it be part of this? Okay.
that's all I have.
Mike would like to make a motion, and Tony would like to second, that we accept the resolutions.
Sure.
So moved, yes, yes.
Any discussion?
I hear the train coming.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Cardeson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kershaw?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right, before we head into public comments, I do have one thing. I wanted to congratulate Mr. Handler. We have a letter going out from the Mental Health Board. He received the Ray of Hope Award from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and I was up there on Sunday night this weekend, and he got the award. And it's a big deal, and he's been a strong advocate for a lot of things that are important to us, and we're fortunate to have him. And so it was nice to see him get recognized, and we're going to echo those sentiments.
Well deserved.
So, public comments. Your name?
Ben Nutter with Sunny Farms Landfill. Just wanted to again let the commissioners and your staff know that we're having a open house Saturday from noon to 4 at the facility at 12500 West County Road 18.
Could have you picked the worst day of the week?
Well, perhaps if I had the ability to accurately forecast 2 months in advance, I would have. Right. Like all weeks have been beautiful, right? But the rain won't be there. I've made a deal with people that control those things, and so we will have the rain out of there by noon, and we have tents and bouncy houses and pumpkins and lots of fun activities. And then the real meat and potatoes is the senior leadership will be there to answer questions from the public, and we are opening our doors and giving tours throughout the facility, so you can see exactly what takes place at Sunny Farms Landfill, and really get to see that we are a state-of-the-art, highly technical facility, and we're really becoming the example for what landfill should be. So we've really just continuous improvement from where we were a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 10 years ago. We are completely different. We're very state-of-the-art And would love to have any and all that would like to come. Any question?
It's great. Someone called me and noticed, is the landfill expanding? There's a huge hole there, there's a lot of, so
Yeah.
what's going on with that? Yeah.
Well,
Just curious.
so we, in past, we used to cover our working phase, we would cover with what was called an alternate daily cover. It was like, almost like hydro seeding stuff, but that didn't suppress gas odors. So we've moved to only covering with dirt. So every day we place dirt on there, and of course we scrape it off the next day to place more waste in those particular places, but you lose some. So we're digging that, and that area that you see south of the woods, so just north of 224, is what we call a borrow pond. And there will not be waste placed there. It is not part of an expansion. There is no, it's just we're borrowing that soil to cover. And we are in cell construction. We have the landfill, and we build it in phases. So we're moving on to another phase, but it's not an expansion, it's just cell construction of the facility. So we would envision, and we've really given a lot of effort to, we would envision at some point that becoming a lake, and the wetlands, which is the woods, it's a pristine wetlands, all of that area, we would envision that becoming, maybe some walking paths, and somehow working with the Seneca County Park District and how we want to work our way through that. That will be some time until that, that active hill there is no longer active. But, at some point we would envision that being, open to the public and fishing and whatever.
I know I got a question about what activities are allowed out there as it relates to some of the woods and areas. So you have a wetlands there that you guys have in a conservation
Correct.
Trust?
Correct.
And do you know how many acres that is?
I
It's significant, but it's towards.
I should.
220
Yeah,
towards
it's a
220
yeah. It's
224, right? So
yeah,
the south
it's-
side.
Yeah. There's I will get that information.
That's
for you.
okay.
Yeah.
And then there are some other tree stands that are on there, but those are all in fee simple ground. There's no restrictions. So to the extent that you have to remove any timber or anything for lanes or for borrow ponds, you have full right to do that on fee simple property, and it's within your permit.
Correct. So landfills are permitted by the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. So we get what's called a permit to install, and we map out a geographical area, and they make sure that landfills, first of all, it's suitable for construction of a landfill, that it doesn't violate any deeds of protection or any of those things. And then they issue us a permit to install for that area, and it's installed in what we call cell construction. So that active hill has, I believe it's 6 different cells, and we're on the 3rd one at this point, and that's all under that original permit to install. So yeah, all of those things are investigated and contained within the permit to install. The permit to install is several binders
Yeah, right.
of information. So it's, as you can imagine, highly technical and very big. And then, as a further issue, as you know, we apply to the Seneca County General Health District for an operating license every year. So that is how that works. So yeah, we had to, as we moved into the next cell construction, there were some areas that we had to clear some trees that had grown up along a former waterway that we moved as part of, the permit to install. So.
All right.
Good.
Good to know. All right.
I just have
Thank
one-
you.
One
Oh.
comment, doesn't affect you.
Sit down.
Solid Waste District will be accepting car tires on Saturday the 19th, right out at the fairgrounds. And just want to let everybody know that. It's good.
That's a
So
great
they
program,
schedule
yeah,
their
that,
work.
yeah, because,
Took televisions out a few weeks ago.
yeah, there's,
It's all a good thing.
there's certain things we don't accept at the landfill, and whole tires being one of them, and cathode ray tube TVs, and, you know, those kinds of things. And so the solid waste district does a great job of collecting those and taking those to the proper recycling areas, and then they reclaim as much as they can, and then what's left over, then that part can be put in the landfill.
Good. All right. Any other public comments? All right. Thank you for coming. We are adjourned.